Dart Talk carries the Internet Broadcast Rating TVD, a broadcast that is specifically designed to be viewed or heard by the darting community, and therefore may be incomprehensible to other lesser mammals. Darter discretion advised.
It's time for Dart Talk, brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics, and Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dirt Talk.
Welcome.
September 11th.
Yes. September
Wednesday.
11th.
Howdy-ho.
2013. Steve Penuncielman with Mystery Mark and Chat Room Girl. How you guys doing?
Fine, fine.
Right.
9/11, I would just like to say a little remembrance. You know, it is 9/11, 12 years ago. Let's just remember everybody and everybody that's fallen and everybody that does everything so well for this country.
Yeah, a lot of people missed today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It stinks.
I don't think there's a big thing to get into, but just, everybody take a second to remember and,
You want to do a moment of silence? We could do that.
We could do a moment
Wanna
of
do
silence.
a moment of silence? We can do that. Okay.
How long is the moment?
Apparently that long.
It's over.
Anyway,
Dart Talk
But
brought
yes.
to you by the Dart Zone.
stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts. Chat Room Girl, I tell you, if everybody that listens to our show laughed as much as her, we'd have way more listeners. I'm pretty sure. We seem to entertain her very, very much. Speaking of that, we got a lot to get to for this show.
Yes, we do.
We have results from the Glenn Silva Memorial in Melbourne,
Of course.
Florida.
Yep.
We have results from the North American Championship Tour PDC events in Atlantic City, New Jersey. We have a special guest from across the pond who's staying up late to talk with us.
All right. That's
We'll
nice.
get him on in a little bit. Also,
Do we say his name or do we let everybody
well,
guess?
when we introduce him, we'll
okay,
say
that's
his
what
name.
I'm asking.
But in
Do
the
we let
meantime,
everybody guess?
let,
we
let-
have a guest.
let the 11,000 people in the chat room have at it.
All
And we'll see how
right.
many get it right.
We're only at 10,998.
Okay, well, you keep counting. Anyway, we'll do the disclaimer just in case I misspeak. What are the odds of that?
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
Okay, thanks for that.
I like that.
So we have a couple of things to get to. We have a little bit of news.
All right. Let's hear it.
Oh, you want to start with the news right off the bat?
Yep.
Okay, here's my news. Who is Thomas Bach and why do we care?
I have no idea, and since I don't know who it is, I don't care.
Care
I
to
don't-
venture?
I don't know, but you're going to tell us.
Well, yes. Thomas Bach is the newly elected president of the
Of the
IOC.
Oh, okay.
Now, what is the IOC?
The International Olympic Committee.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just shocked you got that right.
Okay.
Well, and the reason...
apparently,
well,
my co-host thinks
okay.
I'm dumber than I am.
Well, no. Now here's... Now, here... You're putting words in my mouth, and
Oh,
plenty
okay.
of
My
words
bad.
come out of my mouth on their
Wait a
own.
minute, let me Google
Well-
it really fast.
Well, no. Now here's the deal. They also announced that the 20...
Google dumb co-hosts and see what you get.
Okay.
Anyway,
Anyway, you in 20, I think it's 2020, they announced that the Olympics would be held in Tokyo.
okay.
That's in Japan.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Japan is a
Let the record
massive.
show that I knew that.
Okay, this is not like the
All
Dirt
right.
Talk GED
Let's
episode.
move on. All right. Sorry.
Anyway, and actually, we have a mystery. Not only a mystery guest, but we also have an in-house audience. That's
Okay.
You know,
You're supposed
phone-
to clap every once
So
in a
anyway,
while.
I
You
guess
don't have to clap.
I guess what you're getting to is there's a significance.
Well,
in
look,
this.
here's the synergistic, serendipitous reason that I bring this up. Do you like that?
I did.
Big words.
Tokyo and Japan are huge soft tip countries.
Yes,
They
right.
have hundreds of thousands of people playing soft tip in Japan. And whenever you get a new president in the IOC, they tend to kind of like change some things. They tend to, maybe look at things that were voted down in the past, maybe get another chance. Some things that had momentum get killed. I don't know how the Olympic Committee works. I don't want to know because I have a
Right.
feeling I would never watch the Olympics again. But
Wrestling's in, wrestling's out. Now it's back in
here-
again. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. There were a lot of people talking about, we want darts in the Olympics and stuff like that. I don't want to be the killjoy that says, if the WDF's in charge, I don't want darts in the Olympics because I cannot imagine what they would do to make sure it never saw the light of day again.
Right.
If you think ESPN did a bad job with the World Series of Darts, wait till the WDF is in charge of Olympic darts. Wait till you see what a catastrophe it is, where the WDF doesn't consider soft tip as a sport. So they've basically dissed, 75% of all the people who play. And then they think the PDC doesn't exist, so they think like the top 100 players in the world don't exist either. So let's have an Olympics based on those two fundamental
Scenarios,
mistakes
right,
in
yeah.
thinking, right? So how on earth is that supposed to happen? Is she more trouble than she's worth, chat
No.
room? You weigh in on
I
that.
thought she fell off her chair for a second, but I don't know what happened.
Well, anyway,
All right, but anyway, so this-
that's
you're-
Thomas Bach.
It's a good thing, you think,
Well,
or
I
you're
think
hoping. There could be a reason for change. Then.
best case scenario is it's an opportunity for somebody with the correct chops. So that eliminates the WDF. But somebody with the correct chops to approach the IOC again and try to approach darts as a sport for the Tokyo Olympics.
Do you think
is what
he's
I
got?
think. They couldn't do it in
Do
London.
you think he's got a background of knowing about darts and knowing that?
The guy that's president is actually a gold medal winning fencer and an attorney. And the reason that I like that is, a fencer is close to what an Olympic dart player would be because you don't make a living on the pro fencing tour. You fence because you love to fence and you compete with whatever there is to compete with and you do the best you can, right? And, somebody ends up winning a medal.
Right.
Where's
Right.
he from?
He's from Germany. That's in Europe.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. This is going to be a long night.
I'm just saying. No, so the more I thought about this, the more I was like, this is interesting. So I did a little research on the IDF.
All right.
The IDF is the organization that ran that Shanghai tournament, where their president is Italian, or I don't know if he's Italian, but he's from Italy. They have Europeans and people from the Far East kind of running things. And their express purpose as an organization is to get darts in the Olympics. So I guess all we really need to do is, shrink wrap the WDF people in their car for like, I don't know, how long, 5 years?
Yeah.
Give them a water bottle and some,
It's-
I don't know, Twinkies. Twinkies last long.
they last forever.
I don't know if they have Twinkies in Europe. So, but,
We'll send them some.
well, no. I was talking offline with our special guest, and our special guest has some special knowledge. Because, and he'll have to correct me when I'm wrong, I believe his wife played the last time they had darts in the Olympics. Little known trivia. And maybe I'll let our special guest weigh in on this. Special guest,
That
are
is
you
something
there?
I do not know. When was the last
Yep,
time?
I'm here.
darts?
Okay. Well, we'll let Tony Martin from somewhere I believe in
Spoiler
the
alert.
UK. Well,
Spoiler
no,
alert.
we just introduced him. He just spoke.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not. Our special guest tonight is Tony Martin from the UK. How are you, Tony?
I'm very well, thank you.
Guys want to say hi?
Hi, Tony.
Hello,
Hey,
Tony.
Hello.
Oh, Tony,
Thanks for
our,
having me.
our one person in the live audience says hi too.
Hello to them as well.
Nice to have you. For the people in the States that don't know you, let's get a little bit of background on you as like a human being. I assume you're male.
I'm just about, yeah.
And
I was before I was married.
Nice.
Where in the UK are you from, or where in the UK do you live?
I'm from a place called Ellesmere Port, which is pretty close to Liverpool, which most of you will know because they're like the best football team in the world. So,
Right.
soccer, you call it, don't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, we understand when you say football. Now, is Liverpool? Let me get. Is that the bottom west part of? Is that where it is? Like the western bottom part of England?
Nope, we're in the northwest of England.
So I had it right, except
Yeah.
totally backwards.
You were south instead of north.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We're not
northwest
far
part of
from
England.
Manchester, that little city.
Okay, I don't. Isn't Manchester United in Aren't
That's
they
a-
the best football team? That's what they
I've
tell
heard
us
of
here.
them. I don't think they're too good though.
So you've. I know you're a dart player. I know you've played at Darts Live. I believe you've played on the BDO and the PDC. So give us a little bit of like your dart resume as far as like how long you've been playing, how you got started, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I got started playing when I was probably a young nipper because my mum was playing in the kitchen when she was cooking our tea. So she used to put a.
Sorry.
Hold on. Time
Sorry,
out. Time
hang
out.
on.
She
I
was
already
playing
want to move
darts
to England.
while making tea.
While she was making my tea, she was chucking the darts while the chips were cooking. And
That's the
That's
the best
the
way-
coolest thing.
the best way to utilize your time right there.
So she had a dartboard in the kitchen, or like in the parlor next to the kitchen, and she'd run into the kitchen when the chicken was burning, or how did that work?
well, the dartboard was on the back of the kitchen door.
Okay.
So awesome.
Mom's kitchen. Mom's cooking. Don't enter. She
Yeah.
throws darts. If you enter, you get a dart in the eye.
I just.
That's awesome.
Oh man, I'm so jealous. I want to move to England. Okay, sorry to interrupt you. We do that a lot.
They
on this
do that a
show.
lot, Tony. Get used to it.
Yeah, so I wanted to play, so she stuck a dartboard on the back of the chair, and I threw it a little bit then. But then I got into soccer, so didn't really play again until I was about 18. And I started playing for, we have county teams in the UK. So I started playing for my local county with my good friend Stephen Bunting. You've probably heard of him.
Yes.
We have.
have.
Yes. He's the
So-
number one ranked BDO player.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
We're singularly well informed on this show. So he was one of your pals.
He was, yeah. I say he's probably my best friend in darts still to this day. We travel quite a lot together. So I started playing county, and then the first year I played senior county, I was voted the best player in Great Britain for under 21s. So then, with that little bit of confidence, I started traveling the BDO circuit, trying to get to Lakeside, and actually went over to America, to Houston, played over there, went to Canada a few times.
This was chasing, like, to get BDO points to move up in the rankings.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to fulfill the dream
Sure.
playing at Lakeside, which everyone, when you start playing darts in the UK, you only ever used to see Lakeside. So that was the main goal as a youngster
Right.
growing up playing darts.
Okay, let me just interrupt you here because we're going to have to take a break pretty soon. What year are we talking here? How far back are we talking when you first started going on the road?
Around about 2003, 2004.
Well, you're a young lad then. You can't
I'm
be that old
32
then.
now, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're just a babe. 32?
Compared to this show, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one question, and you can think about it during the break, or you can answer it before we go to the break. But this is one thing. I had a very long drive to Atlantic City, and I started thinking about the way, at least in America, they go about picking national teams and whatnot. And I started thinking that it would be better for everybody if instead of having to go to Houston and to wherever you went in Canada and then all around Britain to kind of try to get all these BDO points, if they just had, one tournament where you could qualify. which I believe you guys have at the Winmaw Masters. Okay, why don't you think about that? We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark, Steve, Chat Room Girl, and special guest Tony Martin, and we'll be right back.
get a tick, but it's okay.
Okay, back for the second quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts, which are going to be available on a website very
Coming
soon.
to you.
Yeah, we're the prototypes for the steel are done, and I'm going to test out the soft tip prototypes, hopefully in Darts Live. So they'll be on the market like in about a month, and,
All right.
and when they're finally available to the public,
That's good to
I
hear.
will let you guys know. They're going to be.
It'll
only,
be on our website.
Yeah.
It'll be on our website. How is the website?
You know,
Sorry.
it's hard to do a
My bad.
website. You know what? You guys showed
got-
up. You
Tony,
guys showed
ask
up
him
at
how the website is.
7:20.
We
I
got
went-
6:45.
Not too much of it.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks
Yeah.
for jumping
Nice.
in there.
Anyway.
Ask him about the website.
I just like to say things to get you riled up. That's
Okay,
it.
so
All right.
before the break, I was asking Tony,
Yes.
and just a little background for the listeners. I went to Atlantic City and I played in the North American Championship Tour thing last week. I got my feet in the Atlantic, did a little what I considered body surfing, although I looked it up on Wikipedia and I was doing it all wrong, except the part where I crashed and hurt myself.
That
on the
was that's
sandbar.
part of it.
That was like, by the way, this is the danger. And I'm like, oh, I figured that
Yeah,
out
I got that
already.
part.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I
All right.
didn't need Wikipedia for that. No, it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of great players. I got a chance to talk to, and I before we get back to Tony, the quote of the weekend, this is a good segue, was Bob Garzone from New York. He's one of the good New York shooters that plays in like the singles leagues and stuff that Anthony Eugenia put together. Comes over, introduces himself, says hi, and I asked him if he was going to play in New Orleans. I'm like, are you going to play the NWDS in New Orleans in November? And he just looked at me and he's like, Steve, there's too many initials and not enough weekends. And I just started laughing my butt off. And that is the state of
Right.
like the Pro Tour, the way we have it structured. So now Tony's in the UK and he's talking about chasing BDO points. He had to go fly to Houston to play a tournament that doesn't even pay anything. I mean, it's like a $15,000 tournament where if you don't win the singles, you don't have a hope of making, airfare from
Right.
the UK. So he's trying to qualify for Lakeside. So they're like, well, then go to 15 or 20 different tournaments and we'll add up your results and see if you qualify. So that's why I'm asking him, wouldn't it be better, especially for us here in America, right, to just have one tournament, say 2 months before Lakeside and say, here it is, we're going to play the exact same format you would play at Lakeside and whoever wins goes.
Right.
Then we're pretty much that's the best way for us to send
Our
best
one
player,
representative.
to send
Yeah.
the one best player, a guy that plays great in January, February, and March, and then his darts slowly deteriorate, and then by the time January comes around the next year, he's playing the worst he's played in a year and a half. Doesn't make American darts look any good. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but doesn't that go against the way the format is right now?
That's why I'm saying we got to change it.
Well, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of
well,
what
yes,
we're getting
that would
to.
be yes. In a perfect world, yeah, of course.
Look,
yes, you could just
the
write it up and say this is how we're going to do it.
The idea of this show is to tell everybody what a perfect world looks like.
Right,
It's their
okay.
job to make it happen. But if we don't tell them what a perfect
Right.
world looks like, then we're culpable when they mess everything up or continue doing the same things badly over and over and over year after year. Right?
Right.
Isn't that what our role is?
Yes.
As
I would agree with that.
Right? What do you think of that, Tony?
Yeah, I think for countries like yourself, where you're far bigger than Britain, and we have to drive half an hour to some tournaments, and you just have to fly half a day or something silly like that. I think it would make more sense for them to have like a one-off weekend where everybody can attend, knowing the goal at the end of it is to win it. For the golden nugget against the Lakeside. I think you'd probably get far more people turning up to that one tournament than you would at little individual tournaments all over America.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where my thinking is today. My thinking is you can still have all these different events, but you kind of change the way things are structured so you're not really penalizing the people that would go to 8 or 9 or 10 different events on 10 or 9 or 8 different weekends, buying 10 or 9 or 8 plane tickets, right? If your goal is to identify who's the best American player to represent our country at Lakeside,
Right.
this is doing it the way it's being done now. There's no way on earth you're going to identify it.
Yeah,
What you're gonna-
it's not always the
Well,
best players there. Sometimes it's the richest players out there.
Just like any other sport, though, you can play in any amount of tournaments you want, and then you go to your majors and you want to play, and that's it. So if you want to go to 9 tournaments and get ready to for the one qualifying Lakeside tournament, you can.
Well,
if you can't travel and only go to 2 and make the Lakeside, what's the difference? And then if you win, you win, and if you don't, you don't. You know what I mean?
yeah, no.
Yeah.
I didn't. Did you follow that, Tony? He lost
Yeah,
me
yeah.
because I was
Yeah.
thinking of something
'Cause
else. But
you will get the people who say, "Well, I like going to 8, 9 tournaments,
Right.
and I could become number one, so why can't I go?" But on the other hand, you got the guys who are maybe a better player than them, can't afford to go to 8 and 9. They can only do 2 or 3 to keep their arm going, and then
they get to the
everyone together, maybe
Lakeside
seed it.
qualifier and see what
yeah,
happens.
I mean, another advantage to kind of changing sort of how we do this is when you think about the tournaments that we're playing to qualify. I remember, I don't know if you know, what was his name? It's not Tenbroek. There's a Dutch guy that came to America once, a couple of years
Joey
ago.
Tenberg.
Yeah, Joey Tenberg.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I ended up playing him in the final at Stanford. He came to Stanford because I went to Stanford for the 501 Nationals a couple of years ago, and I made the Saturday. They had not long format, but I think it started out best of 5, and the final was best of 9. I ended up playing in the final with Joey Tenberg. And he just, before the final, say, "Hi, how you doing? My name's Steve," whatever. And, we talked for a little bit, and he's like, "Do you always do this diddle every leg thing?" And I just am like, I just looked at him, I'm like, "Is it the stupidest thing you've ever seen in darts?" And he's like, "Yeah,
Oh,
it kind of
yes.
is."
This is the perfect person to ask would be you that question.
And this is why I call it the diddle tour, because that was the weekend I said I diddled over. I had at least 100 diddles that weekend between the nationals and then playing the singles on Saturday. It was just diddle, 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 diddle. And that's kind of, that tournament, funny, Tony, is I think they've changed it now, where it's at least no more than 2 diddles, maybe. I don't know if they're diddling first and last leg or just diddling first leg, but, they did kind of change that. So you got to give them credit for that.
They've changed, from what I've heard, they've changed some in America due to them wanting BDO points because they have to follow a certain criteria now, where I think it's like bull up to start, and then maybe if it's 2-2 or 3-3 for the final leg, you bull up again.
Bull up at the last leg, yeah. But
Which some people in the UK don't even like still. They're like, well, I won it the first time, so I should have the advantage in the odd legs all the way.
Yeah, it's kind of the way I'm thinking today is that if our goal, and if, whatever, the ADO's goal is to send the best American player, and you're going to identify the best American player by somebody who goes to a lot of events that are completely different than the one he's going to be competing in, why don't you just mail a check and don't even
Right.
send the guy?
Yeah, well,
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
mean,
Yeah.
it's like you play. We cut you off at the last break, Tony, and we may have to take another one.
yeah,
'cause we're
we
going on
do
and on.
in about 1
But
minute.
but you started out playing the BDO events in the UK, and what format was that? Was that generally you would just play best of 5, or was it?
Yeah, starts in best of 5, and then the further you get on, you get to your 7s and your 9s. But it was strange coming to America where you're playing best of 3 in a pool, which is unheard of in the UK for ranking points.
Right, and then when you play Lakeside though, you're playing sets, aren't you?
Yeah, the first round starts best of 5 sets, best of 5 legs. But even on the tour, it's very rare you get to play that kind of format anywhere.
I don't. Aside from Lakeside and the PDC World Championship, I'm thinking there was only maybe it's the double in. Is it the Grand Prix where you double in, double out? The one in Ireland. That's the only one I can think of where you play sets anymore.
The Winmar World Masters is sets, but that's only 3 legs a set. But a lot. The way they've categorised the tournaments in Europe and that now, the category A is when you get to the semi-finals and finals. I think they are now set play. They go from best of 7 to 9, and then they'll go to like best of 3 sets, 5 legs a set.
What's your thought process when you're chasing BDO points and you go to Houston, and all of a sudden you're playing best of 3? I mean,
Yeah.
how does that affect you?
Shock and awe.
Yeah, I mean, does that put added pressure onto you, or do you just?
Oh, big time. Yeah. Most people know who play darts yourselves. The longer format suits a better player.
Mm-hmm.
If you're chasing a best of 3 and you're shooting at the ball every leg, to see who goes first, that it messes with your head, and then you're putting pressure on yourself. You do get used to it in the end when you start to win a few, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't do very well over there because the format and how you ran things just totally screwed with my mind and threw me off.
Right.
And okay, so you were talking about this was like 2003, 2004, where you went to Houston and you were chasing BDO points, and then we kind of cut you off as far as your darting resume. So let's pick up from there. I know we're a little disjointed tonight, but it
happens.
I blame Mark and Chatroom Girl.
Okay.
They always blame me, Tony. They always blame me.
It's always her
blame
fault.
women for something. Right. Do nowhere else. So, after Chase the Points, first season I went around, I think I missed out on Lakeside by about 2 places in the rankings. So then I got back on the horse and got going again. Made it in 2005. Unfortunately, I lost to Simon Whitlock that year. I then moved to Holland to live for 3 years as a professional dart player over there, which was an experience. And whilst I was over there, I hooked up with Michael van Gerwen, Jelle Klaas, and Vincent van der Voort. And we all kind of joined the PDC together. I wasn't successful in that for different reasons. One, mainly because of the injury. I ripped my shoulder boxing. So that kind of put me on the back burner. So then I moved back to the UK 2009 and just started playing local league again and stuff. And then last 2 years, not really done much. And then last year I went over to Hong Kong for a holiday. Picked up the soft tip darts in one of the Darts Live venues. Started playing, and it came up with a ranking, you're number 4. And I was like, oh, number 4 and the club's quite good. And the guys were like, no, that's number 4 in the world at this certain game. I was like, oh, right, okay. He said, you can play this. So since last May, I've chased the Darts Live Tour. And at the moment, I'm doing okay. And I'm sat 14th in the overall rankings at the minute. And then I'm over to Vegas next week. Well, hopefully see some of you guys.
Yay!
You'll see Chatroom Girl.
I'll be there.
She'll be the one in the curlers and the robe and the slippers.
Listen to him.
You'll see.
Did you come up with a better cross training activity other than boxing for darts, or do you I mean, that doesn't sound like the best cross training activity for darts.
It was going all right actually until I had the injury. But yeah, no, I don't do it no more.
Okay.
I just keep fit in the gym, a little bit of running and on the cross training machines kind of thing. But boxing's gone out the window now, unfortunately. Something I do love and have a passion for.
Yeah,
it's fun, but it's too easy to mess up your fingers, mess up your wrist, and then you ripped your shoulder. What, missing somebody?
No, I was actually doing the press-ups with a clap, and as I came down after clapping, my hand hit some sweat on the mat, and it just shot off to my arm on a right angle. And I took 1.5 years out of darts because I ripped my AC joint.
That's awful.
I don't have my bell tonight, Tony, but I have some questions for you from the chat room. Ding.
Okay. You know what? Let's take a break, Tony, and then we'll come back with questions from the chat room, and I'll go get this person her bell. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark, Steve, Chatroom Girl, and Tony Martin, and we'll be right back. Okay, back for the second half, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts. We still have Tony Martin with us.
The way we're going, do we have to throw another disclaimer in there just to be safe?
We
or
might
if you
throw
think-
one. We might need to throw them in every 5 or 10 minutes. The way this
We
is
do
going.
have a couple questions coming though.
So Tony, we've got some questions for you from the smartest chat room in the business. Let's
Fire
hear 'em.
away.
Okay.
All right. What's Mr. T's favorite double finish?
I'd have to say, since been playing soft tip, it's a bull finish because you can give it a little bit of a large one when you hit a nice pull out shot.
Okay. And then my second question from the chat room, it's a football question. I know it's a dart show, but we got a football question. So who means more to Liverpool, Daniel Sturridge or Luis Suarez?
At this moment in time, Daniel Sturridge means more to us. But overall, when he comes back off his ban, Luis Suarez, he's the number one there.
Okay.
It seems to me,
All
Luis.
right.
It seems to me, Luis Suarez moves with more fluidity and expresses himself more. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Okay.
And he likes to bite people.
He used to bite people.
Really?
my kind of football player.
Mike Tyson.
He's a biter.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He didn't headbutt people like the Italian guy in the World Cup that one year, did he?
Oh, hey, don't get
No,
me
no,
started.
but-
No. Don't get me started on the headbutting. That Brazilian dude that headbutted Tab Ramos.
Yeah.
When we played Brazil in the World Cup, 16 years ago, Tab Ramos was our best player. He was killing this guy. He was deacon by him and all this stuff. And finally, the guy just went up and headbutted him and then elbowed him, right? Broke his cheek. They threw him out of the game. We played Brazil 11-on-10 and got killed.
Well,
But they took our best player out.
Right.
He had to, we had to sub him.
Cheater
Yeah.
faces.
No, the guy. I was talking about the guy from Italy though. He literally headbutted the guy in the chest, blatantly.
Zinedine Zidane from France, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Zadine?
Yeah. But anyway, all right.
All right. So that's my only questions right now from
That's
the chat room. My
most
chat room's
soccer
kind of
talk we've
quiet
ever
tonight.
had.
Well, I have a question. Is your nickname Spud or Mr. T?
Yeah, it's Spud.
It's
most,
Spud.
most people know me as Spud.
Is that because you like potatoes or how'd you get
Yeah, it's
Spud?
because I used to eat them raw when I was a little kid and used to cover my face in mud and stuff. And yeah, I just got it from my uncle from when I was a little boy.
Really?
All right.
Yeah.
Do you still eat them raw?
Yes, I do.
Okay, there you go.
Well, let's. We promised results. Let's do the real quick. Let's do the results from the
quick.
PDC North
Really?
American. Well, okay,
do
they
this
weren't
real quick?
11 events, but these are the results from Atlantic City from the North American Championship Tour stop just this past weekend.
All right, we'll start with the draw doubles. Top 8, Jim Long, Steve Panosielman, Ed Constantny, Bill Connor, Larry Butler, Ashley Taylor, Benny Amadai, and Wayne Budgeon.
Okay,
Top-
good guys. Bunch of good fellows there.
Top 4, Cesar Garcia, Andrew Van Coverden, and Alan Johnson and Tom Mendel Jr. for your top 4.
Hang in there.
Second goes to Sean. Sean Singing in the Rain and Bob Grepp. And your first place in the draw doubles goes to Ralph McCool and Jim Woodmayer.
Jim Woodmayer in the house.
But I
Okay.
thought that was...
Not in the draw.
Big Jim.
I played
Oh, it
with
is the
Jim
draw.
in the other
My
doubles.
bad,
Yeah.
my bad. We got men's...
We
and
stunk.
here we go. Men's 501 doubles.
Right.
Top 8, Alan Johnson, Jamie Morris, Willie Simpson, Dave Kepler, Jeff Leonard, Ron Hall, Ryan Vanderwheat, and Bill Bell.
Yeah, Ryan Vanderwheat played good all weekend, and so did Willie Simpson.
Then your top 4 of the 501 doubles, Larry Butler, Leonard Gates, Rich Dantine, and Anthony Marquis.
Anthony Marquet.
Top 4. Second place goes to Jim Long and Dave Marenthal. And your winner is Mark Fair and Stowe Bunce.
Stowe Bunce. Yeah, Mark Fair played great all weekend. The funny thing about Jim Long, I played with him in the blind draw. He had won the PDC singles in London a
Right.
couple of weeks. Great guy. He doesn't travel a lot, so I'd never seen him before. And, he comes up to me. He's like, hey, do you know anybody that needs a doubles partner for the weekend? And I'm like, I think we can hook you up. And so I talked to Anthony Eugenie, and Anthony's like, Jim Long needs a partner? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, I got somebody for him. And he hooked him up with, Dave Marenthal, who's one of these local players. He's a great player, but doesn't travel. Only plays, the stuff that's around. I think he's from Philly. So those guys did really well. Mark and Stowe played good. Fair play to them, but, it was nice. What you got?
Women's.
It's my turn. Ladies doubles 501. Top 4, Ashley Talbot and Nicole Dalbo. Gloria Gutierrez and Holly Frary. Second, Marilyn Pop and Marsha Locke. And your winner is Callie West and Robin Curry.
And what do we call them? They are the Whisper Twins.
The Whisper Twins.
So the Whisper Twins won it there.
I didn't like that. Remember, I voted that off. They said it was okay to vote that off.
Right,
Yeah,
but
your vote just didn't count.
we don't really count.
My
your
vote never counts.
It does sometimes. It does when you agree with me, your vote counts.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you want me to say your nickname that we came up with for you?
No, we would like you to continue with the results.
Don't get suspended in the middle of the
Ladies
show.
501 singles. Top 8, Nicole Schoner, Ann Kramer, Nicole Dalbo, and Carmen Abertella. Top 4 is Marie McHugh and Robin Curie. And Marilyn Pop came in second, and Callie West took it.
All right, congrats to all those women. How many? There were like 16 women, and 3 of them were named Nicole. What are the odds of that?
All right, so then we got some men's singles 501. You have top 8, Jerry Van Loan, Robert Roffling, Larry Butler, and Leonard Gates.
Yeah, go ahead.
You sound like you were going to...
Well, I was going to say, Jerry Van Loan and Robert Rolling played good all weekend.
Okay.
And then you missed some nicknames there, but that's
Do you
okay.
want my bell?
Well, it's Rolfing. No. Well,
but
I missed the pre-show meeting. I didn't have time for the nicknames.
You guys got to get here
apologize.
for the pre-show meeting. That's all I'm saying.
I was here at 6:45.
Top 4, Dan Olson and Ross Snook.
Snooky.
And second place, Bobby Glade with your winner, Mark Fair.
Yeah, Mark beat me in, I think, top 16.
For
played
singles
great.
501.
Yeah, he played great all day. And, fair play to Bobby Glade. He is, I believe, from Rockaway, another great local player that doesn't really have an opportunity to travel. But, when you have a tournament that he can get to, the guy plays great. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm getting to about, the way we're structuring these tournaments is like, if your interest is in preparing and identifying the best player to send to these big tournaments, we don't go about it the right way, and that needs to change. That's and this is proof of that.
Then you got men's cricket doubles. Top 8, Mark Fair, Stowe Bunce, Mark Mercado, Colin Rath, Rich Dantine.
What's his name?
Rath.
Okay.
Not
like
Rath.
Colin Rathacon.
Raff.
Isn't Colin Rathacon? What happened to the nicknames?
I told you I missed the meeting.
Okay.
I didn't have time.
All right.
Rich Dantine, Anthony, and none of it was prepared for me either.
No, that's...
So, that didn't help my cause.
I feel your pain.
Anthony
I feel my own
Anthony
pain.
Marquet, again, Ryan Barnett, Sean Singing in the Rain. He's the only nickname I got, and he doesn't even like it, so
well,
too bad.
No, he's okay with it.
All right. Top 4, Bob Sedeve, Ross Snook, Rich Dantine, Anthony Marquet, and then your finals.
Marquet.
Second place goes to Darren Young and Dan Olson, with Larry Butler and Leonard Gates winning your men's cricket doubles.
Darren D. Young is what I'm starting to think.
That would be
Darren
Darren, not the WWE.
Well, no, we
Young.
moved on because that's old
Darren.
news. So now it's Darren DeYoung.
Any more women's
Like
over there?
Dennis DeYoung.
Dennis DeYoung sticks. I know.
Darren DeYoung.
Seen him in
Okay.
concert.
Okay.
It's-
Well, if
okay.
you got something better, I'm
I
listening.
actually didn't. I didn't mind that.
You got any more women's events?
I do.
Let's hear them.
Pro singles ladies. Top 8, Marie McHugh, Gloria Gutierrez, Erin Quinn, and Ann Kramer. Top 4, Holly Frary, Marilyn Pop. Second place, Robin Curry, and Callie West took the win.
Yeah, Kelly played good all weekend. And also congrats to Erin Quinn, who's a local New York girl, doesn't travel a lot, but works at her game and has a nice stroke. Yeah, I
All
like
right.
watching her play. She's not as experienced as a lot of these other women, but if she keeps at it, I think she'll do real well. So,
Sounds
hi,
good.
Erin. Okay.
Are you done? All right, and for the results that we've all
These are
been
the
waiting
men's,
for.
the men's pro
This is
singles.
the PDC North American Tour singles, best of 11, top 8. Richie George, Paul Jennings, Tony Eccles, Martin Adams.
Now, okay, let's pause here. You know these guys better than I do, don't you, Tony?
Yeah, I had done a deal with Barry Hearn, and he flew him over there on his private jet, didn't he?
I'm not sure how they got over, if they all came on the same flight or not. I know, all I know is they didn't come in on the Concorde. But now
Yeah.
you've seen Richie George play. I mean, are you surprised that a guy that young makes top 8 in a field like this?
Oh, I didn't even know he played darts properly, to be honest with you. I seen him at Lakeside last year, and I thought he was just there with his dad. You know, but apparently he plays.
No, come on. He played good in Lakeside, didn't he?
Oh, he was all right.
He was
Of course
all
he
right.
did. No, he played brilliant. He's a good friend of mine, Richie.
Is he? And now,
Yeah, he stays with us now and again when we've got a tournament up this way.
now I've seen Tony Eccles. He's been on the PDC tour, and I've seen Martin Adams. I've never seen Martin Adams throw up close before, and I was kind of impressed with how smooth he throws.
Yeah, he's a kind of he's an old school player, so he works on his throw. He could do a bit of a shave now and again, but yeah, he's a good player.
Works on his
Now,
throw.
I've never met Paul Jennings before. What do you think of Paul Jennings' game?
Paul, yeah, I believe he played very well over there, from what you were telling me before.
Yeah.
And he should have won. He should have got further than he did.
I thought he should have beat Robbie Green, but I don't know how many times you could take out 170. I mean, he just seemed to be one triple behind the whole match. So, yeah, I wasn't kind of surprised. 6'3", doesn't look like he was that close, but it was only one break since Robbie had the throw. So, Okay, so what do you got?
All right,
top
so
four.
then top 4 goes to Robbie Green and Alan Norris.
What do you think of those two fellows, Tony?
Yeah, both heavyweights of the game. Robbie's literally about 10 minutes drive from where I live, and Alan's one of them guys. He just can't seem to settle. Alan. He's lived in Holland, Sweden, Scotland, England. He's maybe, I don't know if he was over there looking for a place to stay or what. I don't know.
Is he like Interpol chasing him? Why is he moving so much? Ex-wife?
Well, he's a bit of a looker, so maybe he's chasing the women in every country. I don't know. I think that's probably what it is.
So a man who likes variety. Okay.
Second place goes to Glenn Durant, and your winner is Gary Robson.
Yeah, that final, they played 11 legs in about 11 minutes. Are those two of the quicker players that you have out there?
They're both up from the northeast of England as well, and not surprised to see Glenn get to the final there. He's been playing really well since he got picked for his England place in the BDO. And he's off to Canada, I believe, in a couple of weeks. So I don't know if any Canadians are listening. They might see him out there.
Yeah, it strikes me as odd that you'd have, BDO guys coming over to play. I don't know how this is going to affect that BDO 180 rule. Do you know how that works?
Yeah, you just have to hit 180.
Oh, well, all those guys can do that.
Then it doesn't affect them. If you hit the 180, it cancels out the rule, apparently.
Oh, well, maybe that's why they came over then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Tony, have you ever fished at Bobby George's home?
No, I haven't. He's told me not to go down there with my maggots. So, he charges too much, Bobby.
Oh.
You've never
My-
met Bobby George.
No,
times.
my chat room had a question.
Okay.
All right.
You didn't ding, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
You guys were
we-
actually quiet for a second,
Anyway,
so I
so,
felt like
yeah.
I could jump in.
So now what is this PDC singles here that I got?
Oh, well, you could read. There was one other singles event they had. Why don't you read the results for
Another,
that one?
the PDC singles top 8, Bernie Miller, Ralph McCool, Jerry Van Loan, Bob Seneve. Second,
No, top 4.
top 4 goes to Robert Ruffing and Larry Butler. Second place goes to Darren Young, and Dan Olson is your winner.
Yeah, some tough matches all the way through. There's some 6-5s. I know Bob Seneve got by 6-5, and I believe Dan Olson won 1-6-5. So
In top
a lot of guys playing good. Robert Rolfing, or I think it's Rolfing. He was the guy I was most surprised with because I'd actually never seen him play. Very composed, quiet guy, and played very effective darts all the way through. Some upsets, some seeds went out early that you'd have been surprised about. Snooki had a bad first round. Ryan Barnett was out early. Somebody else, I'm trying to think, was out early. But, guys played good. Ralph McCool played good all day. Dan Olson, played solid all day. Jerry Van Loan played good. Jerry Van Loan beat me in the on Sunday, and honestly, he gave me some opportunities that I totally didn't cash in on. But he had beat Darren the day before, and Jerry's one of those guys that he's played overseas. He's played all the big tournaments here. He just he's got 2 kids at home and can't travel much anymore. So I don't know what we're gonna do. How do you get where a guy like him has the same chance to go to Lakeside as anyone else? How do you get a guy that can only travel 2 or 3 weekends a year to represent us, right? So the only way I can think of on something like this is have, maybe 3 big tournaments a year and then have the big championship, say, it's going to have to be in October.
Is somebody going to argue that, depending, I played 8.
I don't care what anybody argues. They can come on the show and defend
better
it.
Than me,
Well, everybody, okay, look, if you're going to ask a dart player, well, he's better than me, I'm better than him, whatever, show up in October and we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? And then the way I was explaining it to some of the powers that be, and you can weigh in on this, Tony, is I said, look, you can have 8 or 9 different, 10 different, 11 different events all throughout the year. You can get give people points, like he's talking about chasing his BDO points, and you can use that for seeding.
Right, exactly.
So if guys want to increase their chances to get to a thing like Lakeside or get to the PDC World Championship, go out and play. Get seeded, because obviously, seeding is a bit of an advantage. It's no guarantee of anything, because there's plenty of good players that won't be seeded. But what it will do is it'll balance out the field to the point where the top 2 guys aren't knocking themselves out in the first round, where these are the guys, if your interest is sending the best American dart player to represent the country, you have to do it this way.
I agree.
When we have an Olympic team, and we're picking out the Olympic track and field team. They have the U.S. Nationals. And if you don't finish in the top 2 of your race, you don't go. And it was only until maybe 8 years ago where, some of our best guys were hurt, that they kind of said, okay, well, there's going to be a little bit of wiggle room in there. That the USOC, the United States Olympic Committee, can kind of put somebody in if they're injured, if they're the top-ranked person with all these other races that they run, like the Diamond League in Europe or something like that. What do you think of a system like that, Tony?
Yeah, I think, as I said before, especially a country your size, I think something like that would be ideal, and probably not just in America as well. You're looking over in Asia as well, and possibly Australia, but that would make more sense, because, as you say, people haven't got the money to travel from one end of the country in America to the other, which is a lot more expensive than what we have to travel in Europe. And you would get all the top players attending, maybe 3 or 4 to get the seeding, and then they would all surely show up, if they had one big one at the end of the year. And, you get your Willy Wonka's golden ticket, don't you, to Lakeside if you win it.
Yeah, I think, when you think about it, if you did it that way, if you had this big event in October that would qualify you for Lakeside, and if that big event in October was the same format in Lakeside, then to my mind, whoever prepares best for that particular tournament is going to be the person that prepares best for Lakeside.
Yeah.
So there's a progression here that's going to help whoever we send. And if we happen to send 2 or 3 or 4, if we actually get it together to the point where we have this many good players, they'll open up more spots for us. I don't know about if Lakeside would, but the PDC probably would. If you could point to this American, that American, this American, that American, and say, look at how good these guys play, they're going to want that.
Right, yeah.
Because the draw of the PDC is the quality of your play, right? And they don't make any bones about it. They're like, hey, you want to play, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Tony, because you've played on it and I haven't, but what I see from the PDC is they're saying, look, our product is the best darts in the world, and if you can't hack it, don't even try. This is not for recreational players. This is for people who want to achieve the pinnacle of a sport. And that's been their approach from day one.
Yeah, they're trying to close it in, so probably this top 64 in the whole world, a bit like the golf. That's what their overall aim is. But we're thinking over here, they don't want likes of, no disrespect, Jack Jones off the street coming in and playing. They want top.
He's a friend of mine.
Playing.
Well, no, and yeah, you're right. There's plenty of great players that play once a week and stuff like that. And you know, in America, they should be fans of the guys that really put the time in and the effort in to raise their game to a world-class level. I mean, I don't think that there should be any jealousy or anything like that. And because, you know, our core of tournament players is so small, I sense sometimes it's hard for everybody to root for each other once they're knocked out.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, you've got great players over there, but you're not getting the exposure you need, and you're not getting the amount of tournaments you need, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, let's take our last break. Can you stay with us for like 15 more minutes, Tony?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, awesome. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark, Steve, Chatroom Girl, and Tony Martin, and we'll be right back. Okay, back for the fourth quarter. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Redwood Darts and Windy City Fabricators. Before we get to the Glenn Silva results, anything from the chat? Nothing? Okay. Let's do,
We got
these are
some
the
quick
results. Yeah, let's run through them. These are the results from the Glenn Silva
Memorial.
I believe it's in Melbourne, Florida, from a couple of weekends ago.
All right, we got men's 501 singles, top 8, Stephen Glass, Pat Hewitt, Russ Willis, Joe Sabrinsky. Top 4, Josh Robinson, Sheldon Lionel. Second place goes to Norman Madhu. And Tim Adams is your winner of the 501 singles.
Okay, some good players there.
Men's singles cricket, top 8, Mark Lowe, Norman Madhu, Justin Rendon, Tim Adams. Top 4, Terry Luck, John Beard. Gary Mawson second, Pat Hewitt is your winner of that.
Okay, good players.
Women's results?
Haven't seen Gary Mawson lately. He was in
It's your,
Vegas through a 9-darter, and I don't know that I've seen him since April.
Ladies singles 501, top 8, Tyler Mears, Kristen Malunzia, Jen Schaefer, and Christine Graham. Top 4, Jewel Cameron, Christy Briggs. Second place, Christine Mack. And first place, Paula Murphy.
Okay, congrats to them.
Ladies singles cricket, top 8, Georgia Hefner, Doretha Steele, Maria Kitterman, Sheila Neminer. Sorry if I butchered that. Top 4, Lorraine Simon, Kelly Dodery. Second place, Paula Murphy. And first place, Kelly Mears.
Okay, Kelly Mears. All right, congrats to all them. We got more?
Mixed doubles cricket, top 8, Dave Travers, Norman Madhu, Brian Doherty, Bob McGowan, James Taylor, Jeff Busman, Sheldon Lionel, and Mark Venable. Top 4, Virgil Almeida, Mike Powers, and Eddie Morales, and Jim Nolte. Joe Sliven. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Joe Sliven.
Sorry. Gary Mawson, second place. Tim Adams and John Beard win men's doubles cricket.
That's the Tim Adams Open so far.
Men's doubles 501, or I'm
That's
sorry, this is mixed doubles 501. Pat Hewitt and Sarah Dudley, Josh Robinson, Georgia Hefner, Jessica Kelly, Raymond Brown, Mike Powers, and Dalva Fagundes. Top 4, Robin Davis, Norman Madhow, Julie Atkinson, and David Travers. Sheldon Lionel and Lauren Taylor second, with Paula Murphy and Tim Adams mixed doubles 501.
You're going to have to lock that guy in his hotel room.
Yeah.
Tim Adams.
We'll do
that
some. I got a couple more. Mixed doubles cricket. Top 8, Larry Brooks, Tammy Callison, Eddie Morales, Kelly Mears, Rick Taylor, and Christine Graham. James Taylor and Christine Mack. Those are your top 8. Tyler Mears, sorry. John Beard, George Alvarado, and Glenda Alvarado for your top 4. Norman Madhu and Robin Davis second place. And your winner is Paula Murphy and Tim Adams.
I'm not sure who Tim Adams is, but he's making an argument for having this end-of-the-year tournament because he's won every event, and that's a pretty tough field.
And wait, we're not done.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Now you got men's doubles 501.
Okay.
Let me just guess who's going to be at the top. But anyway.
Really?
Top 8, Jobin Weiss, A.J. Cherry, Raymond Brown, Ray Davis, Pat Hewitt, and George Alvarado, and Mark Mears and Joe Sabrinsky for your top 8. Top 4, Gary Mawson, Joe Sliven, John Weatherington, and Michael Wolters for top 4. Second place goes to Dave Travers, Norman Madhu, and your first place goes to John Beard and... Wait
Tim
for
Adams.
it. Tim Adams.
All right.
There you go.
I'm going to have to look him
Time
up.
for me.
Yeah.
Ladies doubles cricket, top 8, Tammy Lycan and Christine Rhodes, Dalva Fuenges and Julie Atkinson, Christy Briggs, Vicky Bollinger, Tina Billy, Christine Graham. Top 4, Jennifer Cardenas, Sarah Dudley, Mary Radcliffe, and Tammy Callison. Second place, Kelly Daughtery, and Sheila G minor. G minor. I'm going to say G minor. How's that sound? First place, Paula Murphy
Sounds
and
good on
Tyler
the guitar.
Mears.
Okay, congrats to them.
Women's 501 doubles, top 8. Doretha Steele, Jewel Cameron, Jessica Rogers, Jennifer Schaefer, Sheila G minor, Kelly Doughtery, Tammy Lycan, Christy Rhodes. Top 4, new sheet. Christine Melinzio, Glenda Alvarado, Robin Davis, and Maria Klitterman. Second place, Kelly Mears, Lorraine Simon. You guys are pissing. First place, Paula Murphy and Tyler Mears.
We're not saying anything. We're just sitting here listening to you read off
Whatever.
the names. Congrats
And then
to
I
all
have
them.
the youth tournament
We
standings.
have the
Oh,
Utes.
Utes.
We do
Okay,
have
Yeah,
Utes.
the
Yeah,
Utes.
Utes.
So I got 13 to 17 years old. Second place, Scott Givens. First place, AJ Hefner. 12 and under. Apparently there wasn't a top 4 on the other one. 12 and under. Top 4, Tyler Diamond, Gage Alvarado. Second place, Joshua Weiss. And first place is Gavin Hill.
Okay, so that was the Glenn Silva Memorial a couple of weeks ago in Melbourne, Florida. I guess part of the
Tim
pre-show.
Adams special.
Yeah, the Tim Adams Memorial Tournament. I guess the pre-show is going to have to be where I just open up a phone book randomly and make you guys read names.
The chat room says that we should eat a handful of crackers before reading the results, just
Yeah.
for
Just
The-
for giggles.
just for the value.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
glad I don't have to read them. Are you still with us there, Tony?
Yeah, I'm here listening away.
Okay.
Are you awake, Tony?
Yeah.
Tony,
No,
Tony, wake up.
Tony, did you know any of those people we were talking about?
I've heard a couple of the ladies' names.
Oh, okay.
To be honest,
All
not many of the guys' names.
Goodness.
The
Goodness.
well, you've heard of Gary Mawson. I know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You just listened to how many events they held on a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday tournament. The tournaments that they have in the UK, do you have anywhere near that many events?
Not really that many. I mean, normally you'd get a Friday night warm up, maybe your pairs and your mixed pairs Saturday, and then your singles Sunday. That's about it, really.
No mixed
It just
doubles,
goes to show
mixed
darts
triples.
players do need some stamina.
Well, the Americans, yeah, we're really good, but we're used to like 2 hours in between our 3 legs, so I'm not sure if that really counts for stamina. Let's talk a little soft tip. 10 seconds of personal time.
Tim Adams. I have a shout
Tim
out
Adams
here.
sighting. Oh,
He's sponsored by Dar Universe, and is a former Army sniper.
oh, that's the sniper guy.
Yeah.
Somebody told me
Gordon.
about him. Gordon played with him on like the second show we ever did. Gordon Dixon
Couple
from
years ago.
Galion, Ohio, was on the show, and he was talking about this sniper guy at some tournament in Florida where the jacuzzi was open 24 hours, and he was. I remember Gordon being very impressed with the guy because he's like, I was an Army sniper. This doesn't make me nervous. Just playing a dart game. This I have no problem
yeah,
with.
exactly.
So that kind of perspective, that's funny. I wish I could have pulled the audio from 2 years ago.
If you
had
would have
I-
known, yeah.
Had I gotten the results, if I had time. I was in
Right.
Atlantic City until yesterday. So
All right.
by the time I got
Well,
back,
now we
that's
know
too
about-
Yeah,
bad.
so there
Now
you go.
we know a
that was
little
a
bit
good
about
ding.
Tim Adams.
All right, so shout out to Tim Adams. I like that. So anyway, 10 seconds of personal time. I did my body surfing, on Sunday. It was like kind of a total ridiculous. Who is this like flying broomstick, diving on this wave? So I walk in, with the towel, and I run into one of the women at the tournament, and we were kind of talking. And
Okay. That sounds a little weird.
so I'm just
I put on a towel and I
Well-
run into one of the women into the tournament.
And I kind of just, well, you know how it is. The smokers kind of congregate and they talk. So I was dripping with like Atlantic Ocean, and my flip flops are getting all wet. It's a little bit chilly, and she's talking, and I'm kind of like, okay.
I was
well.
in the pool.
But then she says, you know what? I've been having this problem. And I'm like, okay, well, what's your problem? And she's like, well, I started out playing soft tip, and now when I play steel, it's like, she's having a hard time with the switch. She's like, maybe on your show, you could give like the 5 tips for soft tippers who are going to play steel.
Did you say
Right.
you started out with a steel tip, but then it went into the ocean? Came out with a soft tip?
No. See,
PG.
how do you guys come up with this? Well, no, because the joke is
Tony, see what I deal with.
the joke. Oh, she doesn't deal with it. Trust
Whatever.
me. So
Classy. That was classy. Whatever.
Sorry.
No, but the funny thing was, I'm doing the pre-show fist fight with myself because you guys weren't here, so I had to smack myself in the head. So I'm like, you know what? That would
Sorry,
make
I
a good
missed that.
topic for the show. But then when I wrote it down, it was like steel players going to soft instead of the other way around. So next week, we're not going to do a show. We're taking the week off.
This is true.
Sassy's you're
I
going
mean,
to Seattle.
Seattle and then Vegas.
And I'm
And you're
going
going to
to
California.
L.A.
Right.
before I go to Vegas, and you can stay here and, you know,
help Jill clean.
you know,
Maybe people
make
want to chat.
make sure no one steals the sidewalk
Right.
outside the building. But so we'll do a show in 2 weeks from today when I'm back from L.A. and
Yeah.
Vegas, and I will gather tips for soft tippers going to steel. But in the meantime, I want to do these tips for steel players going to soft tips, since so many people are going to Darts Live next week. So I will run these down to you, and you guys will, you guys can chime in. This is something you guys are all familiar with. So the top 5 tips for steel players switching to soft tip. So tip number 5.
Do we need background music for this?
We probably should, but come on. Anyway, so number 5,
Number 5.
change your points. Swear to God,
You don't want to throw a steel tip into the soft tip.
I
That would be bad.
I went up to Wisconsin.
Sparks fly.
I will own up to this. I went up to Wisconsin, and on Friday night, I got there with like 2 hours to do this shoot up thing. And so I kind of threw my backpack down, grabbed my darts, and I'm like, well, I'll warm up. I saw an open board. I go, boom, boom, boom. And all 3 darts hit the floor, and I'm like, I could have sworn those were all bullseyes. And then I look, and I'm like, oops. And I had
And
to
you
take-
broke the sensor on each one of those
had
things
to,
behind
had to
there.
change my points.
Yeah, and you screwed up the dartboard.
So tip number 5, this is based on experience, change your points. Tip number 4, stock up on quarters. Now,
You're going to need a lot of those.
I recommend you taking a handful and then dividing it equally in your left and right hand and putting them in your pockets.
Yeah.
I think if you put
To
them all
balance
in one
yourself out.
pocket,
Yeah.
it could mess you up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Tip number 3, get used to fist bumps.
Oh.
Apparently,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I played Roland
Steel's like
Schulten.
that, too, though.
It really isn't. When
League I'm sorry, League is.
The
League,
European guys
league
will do it
plays.
at the beginning of a match, and that's it.
Mhm.
The steel players will do it beginning and end of a match. The soft tippers will do it to every time they come back from the line.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
they must have
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
calluses on their knuckles.
I
and stuff.
actually
Look at
don't.
the floor.
I actually
Easiest thing to
don't.
do.
You know what I do? I actually don't. I hold my darts that I'm getting ready to throw it out. So if they want to hit my fist, then they can.
I don't know. What were you?
Because
But I
remember-
agree. I mean, yeah, in general, though, yes. You have to
I'm
get,
serious.
Somebody let Tony talk.
Tony,
Oh.
are you trying to talk? It's hard to. You need
No,
a bell.
I just said I remember that tip, so no one comes fist pumping me.
Oh, yeah.
with the fist bumps.
Yeah.
You'll see it.
Yeah, just hold them out to the side. They'll just walk in and kind of hit your arm, and it's all
Okay.
good.
Tip number 2: decide between Crocs and flip flops.
yeah.
I think that there's an advantage
that
to
the dress code?
Crocs. I'm just saying this in jest because it seems to me that the soft tip guys, you see more shorts, you see more flip flops, even at what are considered big tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have like any sort of dress code like we do at some of the steel tournaments. And then the number 1 tip for steel switching to soft tip is stock up on Adderall and Red Bull.
Because you're going to be there for a while.
The reason I mention Adderall is I talked to somebody who had gone to one of these soft tip tournaments, and I'm not going to say which tournament it was, but they were really, really, really upset. And I'm like, well, what are you upset about? And they're like, well, for one, we were playing till 5 a.m. And I'm like, well, I hear that a lot, that some of these tournaments run really late. And I'm like, but that's only 2 hours past, what some steel tournaments do. And she's
Yeah.
like, it wasn't that. It was that I didn't think it was fair that our opponents were doing Adderall and popping pills, and we weren't. I don't want to have to pop pills to win. And I'm like, okay, that's what when you go to a bullshooter regional and they start drug testing people, then we'll
Then you
see
got
how
to-
many people are really serious about
yeah,
playing
then you got-
darts.
Right.
So anyway, that was all just for fun, the top 5 tips. I have 5 real
But
tips.
Tony, you can weigh in on these.
Yeah, weigh
Okay.
in on these, Tony, because I know that you've made this switch and you've been successful at it. And I'm not even going to say that I'm trying to make the switch, but I'm going to play soft tip this week, and we'll see. I may play more soft tip next year. I mean, I don't know. But tip number 1 is lower your expectations. And what I mean by that, for a lot of steel players, is when they first go in front of a soft tip board or when they think of soft tip, they think of it automatically as being easy. And they think of it automatically as, well, if I can throw
bigger.
ton 40s on a steel board, I can throw ton 80s on a soft tip board, no problem. But the boards do not overlay in the same place. So if you're used to hitting a double 20, you'll miss it on a soft tip board. It'll actually go under. And the trip 20 will go under the steel tip 20. The steel trip 20 goes under the trip 20 on a soft tip board. I'm pretty sure they don't line up anyway. And also, it's a mental trap for a steel tip player to go to a soft tip board, because the minute you miss, you're absolutely astounded
That you
and
missed.
confounded and confused.
What do you think about
that you
that,
missed
Tony?
a bullseye
Yeah,
the
I
size
totally
of a
agree
satellite
with that.
dish. You agree with that, Tony?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the guys over here, they're like, you're playing on a toy board with massive doubles and triples today. Let's see you have a go. And a few of them went over to France. Yeah, they didn't do so good, so that just shows you.
Yeah, it's a different test. Is the conclusion I've come to. It tests your mental stamina, I think, more than steel tip does, because you have to be patient when you play soft tip, and you have to be consistent. It's more a test of consistency, really, than steel tip is. And correct me if you think differently here, Tony. In steel, you can get on a run where you go like ton 40, ton 40, ton 40, and do that, 2 or 3 legs in a row and get ahead. But in soft tip, it doesn't really work that way. In
No,
soft
because you're
tip-
changing you're changing the game. You're doing a 7-0 a game of cricket, a game of 7-0 a game of cricket. There's no consistency.
Yeah, you're talking about like the darts live format. It's a different sort of challenge. I found it fun personally, and maybe that's because it was something of a novelty for me anyway. But and then the 0-1, it's so different. I don't know, as a player, Tony, if you worked a lot on your finishing over the years, especially when you were coming up. But the finishing with the Masters out at the Darts Live is completely different.
Yeah. In all honesty, you don't really need to be able to hit a double. If you can hit, if you know what I mean, a double on the outside of the board. Because
Right.
if you can finish on the ball and a treble, my personal steel tip game has gone right down on doubles because I'm no longer throwing at them.
Right, and that's the biggest problem I see with soft tip players that play steel sometimes is it's the finishing that gets them. They hit triples left and right, but when it comes to hitting the finishing is where you can kind of see somebody's not quite as sharp.
Yeah.
Which gets us to rule number 2, which is get the rules straight. The rules are different in soft tip. The finishing is different. There's
Bounce outs count.
yeah, well, it's not just so much that bounce outs count. It's like, what do you do if your dart is sitting in the bullseye, but the machine doesn't mark it up? So you need to get straight on this stuff before you play. So if you're in the middle of the match and it occurs, it doesn't mess you up.
Yeah. You have to know.
Right, and I don't really see this stuff written down so much. So I kind of asked around last year at the Darts Live. I'm like, well, what happens if you do this? And what happens if you do that? And, talk to some people that kind of like...
They don't hand you a flyer before the tournament giving you the rules?
They don't do it at a steel tournament anyway.
I
mean,
know,
it's just
right.
sort of like you learn them as you go along, and generally they don't come up until, like, there's a problem, and all of a sudden, oh, by the way, here's the rule.
Right.
So that's something. Number 3 I put was...
Can I just jump in there?
Yeah,
I don't
please.
know if you guys know about the freeze rule
Right.
in the soft tip.
Yeah, that's something that they use in doubles.
In
That a lot
doubles.
of steel players
Yeah.
do not understand, and on first blush absolutely think is absurd.
That totally shot us in Shanghai because we just did not have a clue.
Right.
what
Yeah,
we're doing.
it's conceptually, I don't really have a problem with the freeze rule. It was just that 4 different people explained it to me in 4 different ways, and all they did was really confuse me. But from a standpoint of from the competition standpoint, I don't see anything wrong with structuring a game where both you and your partner have to play well.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I've won or lost a match where one player played awesome, the other player could barely hit the board. You and your partner are both playing pretty decent, and then you end up losing, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And the freeze rule's designed to make sure that that doesn't happen. The freeze rule is designed where if one player is playing really good but another player is playing pretty bad,
Right.
that guy ain't getting through.
Right.
So it's a little bit more of a doubles test. It kind of like, I would think, it wears on your chemistry a little bit, because if you're
Yeah,
not used
you
to
would
playing with a
think,
guy and he keeps
absolutely.
freezing you, I'm pretty sure it's going to be like,
It's going to be the end.
you know, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a good point. Number 3, that was get the rules straight. Number 3 is get used to the line. You know,
different.
You're further back.
Mm-hmm.
You're further back, and believe me, you know, 3 inches is a lot when you're playing darts, and the margin of error is the width of a wire. 3 inches,
3 inches
is huge.
huge.
Yeah, you miss the bull by 3 inches, and you feel like I don't know, you must have had some sort of a spasm. You know, 3 inches is huge.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Anastasia said that to me as well.
Who did?
Anastasia.
That you had a spasm?
No.
Or?
3 inches
three
is
inches huge.
That's nice, Tony. That was good. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
My
getting
chat
late.
room's going to love that one.
Your chat room's in the gutter tonight.
That's why I've been quiet.
Now, number 4, you know, I talked to Tony, you know, kind of before the show, and he said, you know, lower the weight of your darts. And I don't know if people realize, you know, for a long time, it was 18 grams was the limit. That has since been changed. Darts Live is making the limit 25 grams, which I wouldn't recommend to anybody.
For a steel tip or for a plastic
for
tip?
for a steel tipper to throw 25-gram darts at a soft tip board,
Yeah.
like if they're normally throwing 25-gram darts, they're going to have a hard time getting it to the board, especially in match number 7.
Right.
You know what I mean? You agree with that, Tony?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you how many grams did you go down to, like an 18 or a 19 or?
I've gone from 24. I'm currently throwing on a 20, but I am actually practicing with an 18 set now, 18 gram now, just in the practice at home at the moment.
And how are you noticing? What are you seeing different there? The way your darts fly, making a change like that, because that's the change I've always dreaded.
Yeah, if you follow through properly, there's not that much difference. I had to go with Benny. Benny Dersh throws a 7.5 gram dart. And I had to go with that in Shanghai, and he said, you'll throw it if you follow through properly. And I threw it, and I hit 3 balls straight away, following through.
Yeah, he told me he started out on a 6-gram dart, which
His darts are like so. The lightest darts I've ever held in
That
my
seems
life.
ridiculous.
The Witties.
I don't really see any advantage to it. I mean, if it works for you, great. I've never seen an advantage to throwing, you know, lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. I mean, if a butterfly flaps its wings, you could miss. I mean, unless you're really firing them in there. So I've always recommended to beginners that they kind of start around 25, and then when you get better, you can work your way down to like maybe, I don't know, 21.
Yeah.
On steel is
On
about as
steel,
light.
well, yeah,
I know there's, you could correct me on this, Tony. I know there are pros that throw 16, 17, 18 gram steel darts, but I don't think I would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, there's not many. I think Steve Bunting throws about a 12. I think he's the lightest I know of.
He throws a 12?
Yeah, 12 gram dart.
In steel?
Yeah. That's why he done so well in stage 3, because his local league's 8 foot.
Isn't the steel tip
Wow.
alone?
Oh, his local league is 8 feet, and he throws a 12-gram dart, so he made no
Wow.
changes whatsoever.
Correct.
That's great.
Right.
Wow.
I read that
So
somewhere.
Watch out for him in Vegas, because I think he's going to go some again.
Well, can't you take care of him for us?
He's your buddy.
He is indeed.
I'll put my curlers on him.
And then,
Number 5.
yeah, the last tip for the steel players switching to soft tip is get used to the noise. And you know, we were talking about this.
And the
you know,
lights.
Oh well, okay. So when we say get used to the noise,
And the
you want
lights.
to add another one.
Well, yeah. It's because I am on the show, too. So, yeah.
Yeah,
then
but
the
you should
lights.
have done it when we were making the list up, not now.
Well-
Anyway, get used to the noise and the lights. The you know, the steel tip players aren't used to hearing ding 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 every
Right.
time you hit a triple,
Yeah.
or hearing every time you miss a double.
Right.
And I would think that takes a little bit getting used to. And what I've noticed is from machine to machine, they make different sounds.
Wait till the
Right.
sound you hear Steve make in Vegas when I throw him in front of a bus.
Well, hopefully it'll go ding, ding, ding. I hit the host. Right.
A London bus.
But was that? Did you notice that being a problem for you, Tony? Was the general sound of the machines and the general like ambient noise when there's a lot of machines kind of lined up and everybody's playing?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're there waiting to throw, and next minute you're just about to release the dart, and next minute the machine flashes and makes a funny noise, and you're like, oh, you know, it puts you off your shot kind of thing. And sometimes you just go to release the dart, but luckily you can hold on to it. But a lot of the iDarts when you played it around the world, they have music blaring out, and I think Vegas was pretty much the same last year. They had the world music playing while you're playing, which is a little bit off-putting if you're not used to it.
Yeah, it
but-
wasn't real obtrusive, but they did have music playing through the whole event.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in the UK and in Europe, it's, you know, when you get to the latter stage, you can hear a pin drop. There's nothing, but you know, they want to make it more entertaining, soft tips, and I guess that's why they do it.
Is there a difference when I used to play soft tip? Is there a difference trying to get in a rhythm because the board has to switch over and you don't want to throw your dart too soon? Like steel tip, you can just get to the line and throw your darts, but you know your opponent
Yeah.
goes up and hits the button and grabs his darts out of the board, and you get up to the board and all of a sudden you have to wait for it to beep.
Yeah, that is a problem if you're a quick player, but
Does it take a while to get used to knowing
Yeah,
how
definitely.
quickly to walk
I mean,
up to the
the
line?
amount of times you've thrown a dart and it's not counted, and you're like arguing with the referee behind you, you know, and he's like, "You're too quick."
Yeah.
Have you noticed that you've slowed down or you've taken a little more time going to the line than you did playing steel? Have you changed anything speed wise?
Yeah,
when
most
you-
definitely. And people have commented on it, like, "Oh, you've slowed right down," but you have to. You've got no other choice, really. You know, if you're a speed demon thrower, you know, you like to get them. If you're like a Yellow Class and you like to get them out of your hand in, you know, 4 or 5 seconds, you've got no chance as soon as you put your foot on the hockey, because you've got to wait for that machine to give you like kind of the green light to go and throw.
Right.
So you're taking more time to get to the line. Have you noticed that you're delivering your darts any slower?
I wouldn't say deliver them any slower, because the machines are pretty quick at registering the darts. I'd say my getting into my stance and getting to the hockey, I'm taking more time because I'm waiting for the machine to go to the next player.
Okay, so being like coming from Europe and stuff, you're standing right behind the guy, waiting for him to move forward. The minute he moves forward, you go to the line, but then you have to wait for the machine.
Yeah.
So now are you waiting at the line, or are you kind of just standing back waiting for the machine to change and then going to the line?
I've started to stand back and then let the opponent walk back past me, so I know he's got a decent walk back past me, and then normally that 1 or 2 seconds for him to get past me is enough time for the machine to go to the next player. But there is one thing that, all the people that I've seen is these guys that kind of throw like the air shot before they throw the 3 darts.
Right.
It's just not something we've ever seen before. Where in soft tip, there's so many that do it, and I don't know what it is.
We call it the phantom dart, or we call it air darts. What do you think of that? How do you figure that helps anybody?
That's why I'm saying. That's why I mentioned it, because we can't see how it does help. If you practice the shot in your head, yeah, I can understand that. But going up to the hockey, practicing and then stepping back and then going up and throwing you 3, I just don't understand that at all. It's not something we've seen.
Well, and it's funny too, because some of the top players do it, and I have a feeling, people that see the top players do it are kind of imitating it, thinking, well, if they do it, it must be a good idea. I'm reluctant to ask anyone why they do it, because I'm afraid, they're gonna get mad at me or something. I did ask Scotty Kirchner about it, and I believe he told me he doesn't always do it. He does it sometimes when he feels like the pressure is building and he wants to make sure, he's all ready to go or something like that. We'll have to maybe, you can.
I think Ray Carver, I've seen Ray do it a few times, but Ray had dartitis a little bit, didn't he? And sometimes you can see that creeping back in, and I think maybe that's why he does it. I don't know.
I don't know. See, Ray does it, but he doesn't do it every time. I've
exactly.
seen Ray stand there for quite a while, and I wasn't sure quite why. I had suspicions, but I never really asked him, hey, why do you do that? Because it's like, guy's a top player. I mean, he may not want to tell me because it's a trade secret.
Right.
I
You
don't
never know. Yeah.
So I kind of found that interesting. So now we're going to have to wrap up the show, and we do appreciate you coming on, Tony.
I do have one more question for
Okay.
you. I'm just curious. So you've been successful with both steel and soft tip. Which you like better?
My heart and passion's in soft tip at the minute because I can see it growing, and I want to be part of it growing in the UK. So at the moment, I'd have to say soft tip at the moment.
Do you think it's got a future in the UK with the steel tradition that you've had all this time? I mean, I heard there weren't any electronic machines in the UK.
There isn't. I mean, I've got the 100S in my bedroom. I think it can work, where a lot of it's going to have to be done on the price of how much you're paying to play, because people in the UK don't pay to play darts.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
You know.
All right.
I'd like to. There's more I'd like to talk to you about, but we're kind of already like way long.
Well, yeah, we're in the second half.
But I
second half
know-
of the second hour.
We're making up for
right.
next week.
Well, and
That's a good point.
just for all the people listening, I will be at the Dirty Bull in Los Angeles next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll post something on Facebook and on our Facebook page if you guys want to stop by and say hi if you happen to be in LA on September 18th. And then you're going to be, Tony, you and some of your running buddies are going to be in, are you going to be in Vegas on the 18th?
Yeah, we're in the Crowbar. There's myself, Daryl Fitton, and Stephen Bunton. We're just having a kind of meet and greet down there. Have some chicken wings and some beers and a few games of darts. Basically, so the Americans can see like the top two BDO players playing soft tip.
Who are the top two BDO players?
It's Stephen Bunton and Daryl Fitton at the moment. They're number 1 and 2 in the ranking.
So do they make you carry their luggage then?
Yeah, are you the
same as
rookie?
the wife
Yeah.
does as well.
Nice.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks, Tony, for coming on. I hope you'll come on again. There's more I'm curious about. So hopefully we can talk a little bit when we're at Darts Live. Yeah, I'll introduce you to Chat Room Girl next week. And thanks for coming on. We certainly do appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony.
It's great.
Thanks,
Pleasure.
Tony.
Thanks for having me.
Anything else from the chat room?
Well, the chat room, let's see here. Even odds for any takers on Dart Talk website launched before or after WDF BDO makes peace with PDC and all live and live and play together happily ever after.
Oh my! Well, let's get that on the Vegas book. And
Yeah,
I will see where to put my money on that one. I'm already leaning toward the website getting up, but right now, I can't believe anybody
Depends on where
put
your
much
money's
money on
like.
that. Well, again, there's a lot we didn't get to, but I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We're gonna take next week off so Steve can travel and Chat Room Girl can travel and you can play more golf and
Or something.
get your hat blocked.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Anyway, we'll be back in
There's
2
an idea.
weeks.
There's an idea.
We'll be back Wednesday, September 25th, and we'll talk all about what went on in the Darts Live
Hey,
in Vegas. And
How about Steve and I buy you a hat while we're in
I
Vegas?
get my hat blocked, if you know what I'm saying.
Anyway, everybody, thanks for listening.
And you should, by the
we'll
way.
Dart talk to you next week.
Be
Everybody
careful
take
what you
care.
wish for.
Safe travels.
Thanks.